For 714, I asked you to first list the positives and negatives, or the benefits and assets. For 714, we started off talking about the two sides of this war and what had been going right for them. With the Triple Entente, their geographic location, remember it's Britain, France, and Russia, they were surrounding the Central Powers. That was an asset for them. They also had Russia with all of its Russian. That's an asset with all those soldiers. Britain has its empire and can pull soldiers from all over. In terms of successes, the few specific battles that we've talked about, the Battle of the Marne, the Battle of Verdun, Battle of the Somme, all technically considered victories for the Entente. For the Central Powers, Germany, Austria, and the Ottoman Empire, they also have a benefit with their geography because they are centrally located, because it is easier for them to move troops, to have meetings together, all of that. That is an asset. Also, they have a superior army. That was part of Germany's build up to the war, to build that military power. While they haven't been doing very well on the ground, the Germans have had tremendous success using unrestricted submarine warfare. It's gotten quite a rise out of the international community, and they've done quite a lot of damage with those U-boats. So that could be a success for the Germans. The point I'm trying to make is about halfway through the war, it wasn't entirely clear who the winner was going to be. It was unsure because while the Triple Entente seemed to be doing better in the trenches, the Germans were still holding on, and they were using unrestricted submarine warfare. So it seemed fairly evenly matched, and it's why it's important for this class, for this lesson, what will turn the tide for them. About 2-3 years into the First World War, everyone is tired. Remember, they never expected the war to last this long. Everyone thought it would be over in a few weeks, possibly a few months. Trade unions will be an important element of this, especially in England. Remember, we talked about the home front before, how the government is getting more and more involved in civilian life in order to ensure a positive outcome for the war. With trade unions, because there are so many soldiers out on the front lines, there's not many men left to work on the home front. So there's a shortage of labor. Now, economically, what happens when there's a shortage of labor, usually wages go higher because the few people that are available to work can demand higher wages. And during the war, the unions do this through striking. The government relies on the production of these various goods, whether it's uniforms or boots or guns or shells, and there's not many men to work these jobs. So the unions start asking for more money, more time off, and the government has very little choice because they have to have these materials. They have to have these materials in order to win the war. And so we see that the trade unions get more and more power as a result of this war. There's also a big surge in pacifism, the belief that war is wrong. Again, it's because this war lasted longer than anyone expected. It's because this really mechanized modern war was so much more damaging than anyone had imagined. When we're talking about shell shock and the types of injuries that soldiers were getting, and the number of dead that never returned. Hopefully you'll also remember when we talked about the home front, we talked about DORA, Defense of the Realm Act. One part of that was conscription. And there were some people who said they would not fight, even though the government was forcing them in a way to join the army. There were people who were conscientious objectors, which means they didn't feel that they were able to morally fight in this war. Now, sometimes there are three main reasons why someone would be a conscientious objector. There's the reason that they're a pacifist, that they believe that all war is wrong. It could be for political reasons, that they feel that the Germans are being unfairly prosecuted, or it is an illegal war, against a country that we shouldn't be at war with, or there's the religious aspect, and often this is Quakers who believe that war is against God's plan for us. Now, if a young man was a conscientious objector, there were a few things he could do. He could just flat out refuse to do anything involving the war. In that case, he would probably be thrown in jail. However, there are ways to get around this moral hesitation to fight a war. You can still help your country, you can still be a part of the war effort, but you don't have to fight if that's how you feel. A lot of this will be turned around when the United States gets involved. Now, the first event that sort of made it seem like the U.S. might get involved was the sinking of the Lusitania. Remember, this was the passenger liner that was hit by a German torpedo with unrestricted submarine warfare. It sank in 15 minutes, and about 1,200 people died. About 150 of those people were American. And at the time, a good portion of the American public felt temporarily that America should go to war, that American citizens cannot be attacked in this manner. But another thing to consider is the guns that were in the cargo hold of the Lusitania, the materiel, they were going from America to Britain. So America was already involved in this war, but more economically than on anyone's alliance, per se. Although some people wanted to go to war, President Woodrow Wilson thought it was a bad idea. He is actually re-elected. His campaign slogan is all about "He kept us out of war." That America should stay isolated. We should stay neutral officially. We can, sell products to our British and French our friends, but that it is not America's business to go to war. It was popular enough that Woodrow Wilson was re-elected for a second term. But then there's another event in 1917 that starts to change President Wilson's mind. This is the Zimmermann telegram. It was sent in 1917 from Germany to Mexico. This telegram was intercepted by American intelligence. You can see it there. It is coded, so they had to decode what was said in it. And in essence, Germany is telling Mexico that if Mexico joins this war on the side of Germany, when Germany wins, it'll attack America, it will take over all this land, and Mexico will gain back territories they lost in the Mexican-American War, specifically California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So Germany really is sort of teasing America to try and get in this war. Now, it seems a little odd that if Germany is tired as well, why do they want America to get into the war? Well, because they knew that America was already helping, it would be easier to actually fight the Americans rather than have this surreptitious, secretive supply line always helping the Germans' enemies. The last event, or the straw that breaks the camel's back for the Americans during the war, is that Germany starts attacking civilians once again. They resume unrestricted submarine warfare. Again, the U-boats get under the British blockade. They are attacking non-military targets. And so now, President Wilson sees no choice but to get involved in this war. He wanted to stay out of it, but now Americans are being threatened. American interests are being possibly attacked or planning an attack on our back doorstep in Mexico. So Wilson asks Congress to declare war in April 1917. Gladly, Congress complies, and we have that whole buildup for war we already saw over in Europe happens now in 1917 for America. For the economy, this is actually a very good thing. The Americans had already been selling products to the British and French, and now American businesses gear up even more to outfit our soldiers and get them guns and uniforms and boots and all of that. So it is good for our economy. There are plenty of young men who are excited to sign up. It's an adventure. It's something to do. And many of these volunteers sort of are very cheerful in going into war because it's an adventure. And the famous song from the era is called Over There. And the chorus ends with, "We won't go home till it's over there." That the Americans feel that they are going to save Europe. They are going to be the ones to swoop in and be the heroes. And this is sort of where America starts this identity of getting into everyone else's business. They meant well. The intention was there, but it wasn't necessarily something that we were responsible for doing. All right, that's it for 714.